amazing artist. I hope you are having an awesome day today. And welcome to week 2 of our CD weavings. Last week we learned all about the different parts of a weaving. We know that the loom is what we weave onto. In our case, we're using a CD. There are table looms, there are floor looms, there are looms even made out of cardboard. You could make a loom really out of anything. It could be a rectangle or it could be a circle in our case. We learned about the warp pieces, which are the vertical pieces, and that's what we were focusing on last week. We should have 13 warp pieces all together. If you have 12, then we need to try again. We have to have an odd number. We cannot have an even number of warp pieces or else our weaving will not stay together. So make sure you have an odd number. Mine is 13 because that is a good number for a CD weaving. And we have secured it on the back with a double knot. So hopefully you have your 13 warp pieces because today we are going to use the weft pieces, and that's all this colorful yarn over here that we're going to use to actually do our weaving within our warp pieces. I'm going to show you how to do that. So the weft pieces are the pieces that do our pattern on our loom, and our pattern is over and under. So we're going to consistently use whatever color you want to of yarn, and we're going to go over and under each of these warp pieces, and I'll show you what that looks like right now. You are going to also need a pair of scissors if you want to trim any short tails away, but I'm going to choose a color. Doesn't matter what color you start with, you can start with any color. I think I'll start with green. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our first weft piece and we're going to tie it to one of these warp pieces. It doesn't matter which one. We just want to make our knot closer to the center. Okay, we don't want to tie it up here because our weaving actually is going to start down here in the center, and as we keep weaving it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger until we get to the edge of our CD. So I'm bringing my weft piece down. I have a short tail and I have a long tail, and what I'm going to do is I am just going to tie a double knot onto one of these warp pieces. Doesn't matter which warp piece you choose to tie this onto. No, you can choose whichever warp piece you want. It really doesn't matter. Are you going to tie your knot closer to the edge of your CD or closer to the middle of your CD? I've kind of already shown you and done it. We are going to tie our knot closer to the middle, and that's just a single knot, and we want to do a double knot just to really secure this yarn on. Now I have a long tail and I have a short tail. This short tail might get in the way, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim it a little bit. I'm not going to trim it all the way where the knot is because then our knot will come undone. So I just trimmed it to make a little shorter tail so then this piece doesn't get in our way. And we actually can't use this anymore, so I'm just going to toss it off to the side and maybe I can use it for a future project. But now that I've tied on a weft piece, I'm ready to start weaving. And what we're going to do is, I don't know if you remember last week, I reminded you to make sure your warp pieces are evenly spaced out. We don't want them to be crowded on top of each other like this because that will be almost impossible to weave onto. So I'm going to spread my warp pieces out, and yes, they will move around as you're weaving, so you might have to stop every now and again just to make sure that they are in the right place. And that looks pretty good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start going over and under. You can go over your first warp piece if you want to, or you can go under. I think I'll go under. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this weft piece and I'm going to pull up on one of my warp pieces because this one's going to go under. And I'm going to pull it through gently. We don't want to pull too tight right now. But as you can see, my green weft piece here went under this warp piece. We know our pattern is over and under, so what do you think this green piece is going to do next? Do you think it's going to go under the next piece, or do you think it's going to go over? It went under the last one, so I think it's going to go over, right? Because it's a pattern and our pattern is over, under, over. Then what on the next one? it's gonna go under. And by the way, for over, we don't have to do anything. We're just gonna put our weft piece right on top of that warp piece, and it's gonna go over that one. So I know the next one, I will pull up and I will put my yarn under that warp piece, and you can start to see that pattern coming alive. First I went under, then I went over, then I went under. So what am I gonna do next? Yep, I'm gonna go over and under and over the next one. By the way, whenever I'm pulling it through, I'm not pulling very tight. I'm just pulling it enough to bring it towards the center, because our weaving is starting here in the middle. If you pull it too tight, then look what happens. It's going to be very confusing. We don't want to pull it that tight, because then as we continue our weaving, we might start getting confused of which is under, which is over. So just pull it tight enough to where it falls in towards the center, but not too tight to where you are scrunching it in the center. We just want it to be in the center, and we don't want it to be all the way out here either, because look how messy that looks. We want to bring it in a little bit. And let's see, what did I do last time? I went under, so my next one's gonna be over, and then my next one will be under. Pull through just a little bit, over, under, over, under, over, under. And that is just one row done of our weaving. We are going to continue going over and under. So I went over, then I'm going to go under. So as you're doing it, just remember to go over and under, and do not pull too tight, but pull it through until it gets to the middle, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and finish this green piece, and then I'll be right back to show you how to add a new color. I have a very short tail now, and it's getting a little bit harder to weave. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose a new color. If you want your CD to be all the same color, then you can do that. Or you can mix and match your colors. Maybe you want to do a pattern, so you could do green, blue, green, blue, green, blue. It would be cool if maybe you wanted to do a rainbow, so you started with red, then orange, yellow, green, blue, violet, all the way until the end of your weaving. That's totally up to you and what you would like your weaving to look like. I think for my next color, I will choose blue. So I will grab a blue piece of yarn. And to add a new color is very simple. What we're going to do is we're going to tie our new color to our old color using a double knot. That's why I left a little bit of length right here, because I knew I was going to be tying a new color on there. And if it's too short of a tail, then it's going to be very hard to tie a knot. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my new color and I'm going to do a double knot. So there's a single knot and a double knot, and we will tighten those together. And we do not need these extra tails here. Those will just get in our way. So I'm going to trim them, but not too short, because if we trim them too short, then our knot will come undone. And after you've added a new color, guess what? We are going to continue our pattern. So lastly, I went under my warp, and now I'm going to go over the next one. Under, over, under, over, under, and then you can start seeing my new color coming to life. So I'm going to continue weaving all the way around until I get to the edge of my CD. I want to fill it up mostly with beautiful, colorful yarn. And whenever I'm ready to add a new color, that means I've run out of my last one. I'm going to leave a little bit of a tail, so then I can choose a new color, tie it to that, trim off any extra tails, and then continue our over and under pattern, going around and around and around until we get close to the edge. And I'm going to speed this part up because I think you guys are catching on, and this will become like second nature to you as you keep weaving and practicing. It will start to get easier and easier and easier as you go on. So I'm going to speed this up, and I'll be right back to show you what my CD weaving looks like. I've just finished my last weft piece here, and for my pattern, if you decide to do a pattern, you can do something like this where you start with a color, and then once you get to a certain point, then you reverse that pattern. So once I got to my light pink, then I did dark pink again, then I did purple, blue, and green, which is the color that I started with. So that's an idea if you want to try something like that. But I know that I'm done because my weaving is very close to the edge. Now we do want some of this shininess to show through, so we don't want to weave all the way to the edge. That would be a little bit tricky to do as well. So just weave almost to the edge. I think I have a total of 9 strings here, but you could do 10. It really just depends on how you would like your weaving to look. The only thing is we don't want to make it too small and just have, I don't know, 2 or 3 pieces of yarn, because that's not enough practice. We need to go almost to the edge. But once you get to the end and you're ready to finish it off, we are going to tie it to one of our weft pieces. So I've left a tail here because what I'm going to do is I am going to tie a knot into this green piece, and we want it to be tight, so I'm pulling it through. I don't want this to come up, and that is just a single knot. So I'm going to do a double knot, and I'm just tying this green piece to my weft piece, and that will secure it into place. It doesn't matter which one you tie it to. We're just going to tie it to the last one that we've used and leave a little bit of a tail, and after you've tied your double knot, you can trim that tail off, and this weaving is complete. I hope you guys have learned a lot about weaving, different parts of a weaving, and even how to create your own weaving out of a recycled CD. I can't wait to see how your final CD weavings turn out and all the different color combinations you guys can come up with. I know they're going to be amazing because you guys are amazing. All right, I'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.